Welcome everyone, I'm Dale and this is Cinema Historia. Two blonde roommates, a con artist and a millionaire, and a new singing sensation. This week we're going back to 1949 for an American comedy film called My Friend Irma, starring John Lund, Marie Wilson, Diana Lynn, Don DeFourier, Dean Martin, and Jerry Lewis. And this is directed by George Marshall. So where does our story begin this week? Well, our story begins in New York. The setting, Mrs. O'Reilly's boarding house at 185 West 73rd Street, apartment 3B. Friends Irma Peterson, played by Marie Wilson, and Jane Stacy, played by Diana Lynn, room together there with high hopes of the future. Irma is a somewhat dim-witted blonde who deep down has good intentions, while Jane is an ambitious woman who dreams of marrying a rich man. With a tip from a friend, Jane winds up as the new secretary to millionaire Richard Rhinelander, played by Don DeFourier. Knowing how a businessman often falls for their secretary, Jane sets her sights on marriage to her new boss. Meanwhile, Irma is in love with Al, played by John Lund, a con artist looking for his next get-rich-quick scheme. Thinking he has a sure thing on the horses, with the horse being wired, Black Friday happens once again when the horse wins, but the jockey is electrocuted. Unable to get an advancement at the unemployment insurance office, Al and Irma head across the street for a refreshment at Orange Glorious, an orange juice stand. Working at the refreshment stand is Steve Laird, played by Dean Martin, and Seymour, played by Jerry Lewis. Encountering Steve's wonderful singing voice, Al convinces Steve to leave his job and promises to make him famous. Al then invites Steve and his partner Seymour to live at Irma and Jane's apartment, much to the disappointment of Jane. The five of them head out for dinner that evening at the Gypsy Tea Room, where Steve makes his singing debut. After pairing with Seymour on a second number, the duo are a big hit, and Jane and Steve begin to fall in love. With newfound success, Irma and Jane begin to hear wedding bells. However, Jane is still determined to marry a wealthy man. So, has a con artist found his new get-rich-quick scheme? Does Jane marry for money or for love? Or does a $50,000 grand prize radio contest win change the direction of our story? Released October 14, 1949, this film was directed by American actor, screenwriter, producer, film and television director George Marshall. Spanning a career for more than 50 years, he proved adept at most genres, including comedies, musicals, and westerns. 79% of Google users like this movie, stating, "This warm comedy is sure to capture all audiences. A comedy hit you shouldn't miss, and a must-see about a likable airhead who meddles in her roommate's love life." And that she does all the way through. It makes for a fun movie. And our trivia question this week: is this the first screen appearance for more than one star in our film? Is this the first screen appearance for more than one star in our film? So a little more history and the answer to our trivia question coming up next. My Friend Irma was not only the title of our film, but a media franchise as well, making it the subject of this week's history. So, My Friend Irma is a media franchise that was spawned by a top-rated, long-running radio situation comedy created by writer, director, and producer Cy Howard. Working for CBS for 9 years, Cy won a Primetime Emmy Award in the category of Outstanding Writing for a Variety Series for the television program The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. The radio show was so popular in the late 1940s that its success escalated into films, television, a comic strip, and a comic book that comprised the franchise. Marie Wilson portrayed the title character Irma Peterson on radio in 2 films, My Friend Irma in 1949, and its sequel, My Friend Irma Goes West in 1950, and the television series. The radio series was broadcast on CBS from April 11, 1947 to August 23, 1954. The TV version, seen on CBS from January 8, 1952 until June of 1954, was the first series telecast from the CBS Television City facility in Los Angeles, California. Because of the popularity of the show, a contest was run for the services of Irma or Marie Wilson for a day. Marie Wilson agreed to act as a secretary for the highest bidder for 1 day, with her willing to travel anywhere in the U.S. The money was to go to the March of Dimes charity to fight polio. 3 businessmen bid $1,000. But the winner was the Coca-Cola Bottling Company of Fort Worth, Texas, which bid $5,000. The My Friend Irma comic strip, illustrated by Jack Siddell, began syndication with the Mirror Enterprise Syndicate on September 11, 1950, receiving a promotional boost in the November 7, 1950 issue of Look magazine. Atlas Comics, that evolved into Marvel Comics, published the My Friend Irma comic book, which ran from 1950 to 1955. It was often written by Stan Lee with art by Dan DeCarlo. Dan DeCarlo was an American cartoonist best known for having developed the look of Archie comics in the late 1950s and early 1960s, and I grew up on the Archie comics. As well, he is the co-creator of the characters Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Josie and the Pussycats, and Cheryl Blossom. Pretty cool. And the answer to our trivia question this week, is this the first screen appearance for more than 1 star in our film? Yes, it certainly was. This was the film debut as a team of Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, who played Steve and Seymour in our film. Jerry Lewis was originally cast to play Al, but it was decided to let him act similar to his on-screen comic persona, and the character of Seymour was created for him. They met in 1945 and debuted at the Atlantic City 500 Club on August 25, 1946. Before they teamed up, Martin was a nightclub singer, while Lewis performed a comedy act lip-syncing to records. This was the first of 17 films together, a pairing that lasted from 1946 to 1956. And before separating into solo careers, Martin and Lewis were the hottest act in America during the 1950s, as well as the highest paid act in show business. That's a big deal. They kind of picked up after Abbott and Costello from the 1940s as the big comedy act. That was a big deal back then. I'd like to give a big production note about my channel. I will actually be scaling back and taking a break from my channel for a while. I'd like to give a big thank you, though, to all my viewers and subscribers and everyone that has left comments for the last 2 years. It's been a fun journey. And thanks for watching, everyone. Maybe we'll see you again sometime.